All right, strategy number 6, share examples of best practices. Why is this important? Well, it sets a standard. You saw this in the last strategy as well, and it's true here. It's hard to know what good looks like unless you've had it modeled for you. Sharing best practices functions to do this in the same way that a rubric allows people to assess themselves subjectively so they can determine where they're at in their own understanding. You also validate and empower employees. So how do you make this happen? Well, if you see something, say something. If you see someone using the software well, then be sure to take a moment to acknowledge it to them. Then ask if it's okay for you to share their success story with others. This is an old example from many years ago that I sent to the full staff, where one teacher had done a great job using the discussion feature of Veracross. And once I saw it, I was like, well, other teachers will benefit if they can see this great example of how to use the discussion feature. Did you have something you wanted to share here, Keith?
Oh yeah, sorry about that, Tim. Yeah, so just a quick question. How do you surface these? By definition, oftentimes technology is between a person and their computer. So how do you get more of these success stories and more of these kind of personal anecdotes that can be valuable to others?
That's a great question. It's not easy to get that information, but I try, as I'm going back to what I said earlier about relationships are so important, I try to interact with everyone who works in the school, and working in the IT department, I often have to. And in the course of interacting with folks, I learn about their use of the software solution. I'm observing it all the time. So whenever I see it, then I definitely want to take a moment to acknowledge it and to share the success story, because I'm so well positioned to know what good looks like, because I see all the end users using the software. I know when I see an example of good. But also, one of the traditions we have, for example, in the leadership team of the school, is to have acknowledgments at the beginning of each meeting. And often in the course of those acknowledgments, I'll hear other folks recognizing colleagues for their solution that they've put in place. And that's an opportunity to leverage as well. All right, some tips. Use meetings or emails to share success stories. Try to highlight someone that has struggled early on to learn the software. They'll feel encouraged, and it'll show others that it's possible to learn how to use the software. All right, here's a review of strategy number 6. Share examples of best practices. The why is because sharing examples of best practices allows you to define the gold standard while both validating and empowering employees. And the how is to acknowledge people when they use the software well, and ask them if it's okay if you share their great work with the rest of the organization.